A true boomer would now tell you all about the history of old mobile phones, but I won't since I'm totally not a boomer, just a tiny bit. It's kinda crazy how mobile gaming looks like nowadays, all those fancy graphics and touchscreens. If you showed Genshin Impact to someone from 20 years ago on your mobile device, they would probably go, whoa, can you tell me the lottery numbers for the next few years? Mobile games nowadays still don't have the best repetition, but back in the day it was kinda even worse. Instead of microtransactions, you had hidden subscriptions that stupid kids bought because they saw an ad on TV and really wanted some cheap looking game on their phone, or some ringtone or sexy wallpapers. So you bought the game for $5, but instead of only getting the game, you also subscribe to hidden costs without even noticing it, because who can read that little text on a middle-sized cheap CRT TV? So the next month your mobile phone bill were high as hell and you were too afraid to tell your parents, but you had to do it so they can call the hotline to cancel that stuff for you. Normally all these games would be pretty much lost to time, and some sadly can't be found anymore, but luckily there's always people who want to preserve everything, regardless of its quality. Shout out to those people and to the people who created the K emulator that allows you to play these beautiful games again or for the first time. Luckily Nintendo didn't make mobile games yet, so they can't send anyone to my house. Also, at first I mostly wanted to make this video about bad mobile Java ports from franchises that already were big on consoles, but I also decided to add some true originals with the highest quality possible. So let's get started. Angry Birds, a mobile port of another mobile game. And yes, this game uses Smash Mouth. I'm a believer for the whole game. I didn't add this myself. It uses it for the whole game, not just the menu. And you can already see it has nothing to do with the classic Angry Bird, just that your bird is really angry and that they are piggies. Oink. It's an endless flyer, and every 20 points you get to a new stage. That's all I can really say. And I gotta say, the song does sound pretty nice here. Let me tell you, your ears will probably start bleeding at some of these other games, or some just have no music at all, which I prefer to some of the things we will experience. Drakengard. This is the most faithful adaptation for a mobile game ever, probably. You mindlessly slaughter tons of enemies, have some flying dragon stages, and have to listen to monotone music during it all, which actually doesn't bother you anymore after a bit, because instead of thinking about the game itself, all you think about are the big questions in life. Why are we here? Why do we exist? And why am I playing this? And how am I kinda enjoying this? So, just like the original Drakengard. For some reason I really want to come back to this one day and actually beat it. It's Yoko Taro after all. I'm sure there's some hidden lore here that you need to truly understand the actual story. Don't forget to also watch the stage plays that are only in Japanese, or play 5 different gacha games for a breadcrumb piece of lore. Dr. Jizz Driving. I pretty much only put this in for the name, even though the Jizz is obscured by the X. It's just one of those driving games that McDonald's had a lot in the Happy Meals back in the day, you know, with those bad plastic handheld thingies that ran actually electric, but yeah, never mind. Ape Escape. Ape Escape is one of my favorite franchises ever, and I will never forget Sony for killing it and also killing Japan Studio, the best development team ever. Spike, the main character from the first game, is back and you play as him, and if I were him I would prefer not to be in this game. I played through almost all of the stages in the first world, and it's actually a surprisingly big amount of worlds in the game, but the thing is, you will never get to see those because you just don't want to continue playing it. It's not total trash, but it's just boring, and the only gadget I got in the first world was the radar, which is always the lamest gadget in the Ape Escape games. I tried looking for a long play, but those do not truly exist for games such as these. Maybe I should fill that niche, doing long plays of Java mobile games. I think even if you paid me, I wouldn't like to do that actually. The only thing that kept me playing the game was the bad translation. Congratulations, Spike! Do not forget how to be bored after long hours of hunting. And remember that you cannot drink coffee before going to bed. I understand the second part, but what does it mean to not be bored after long hours of hunting? I never went hunting, so maybe I would know if I would be hunting. If the biscuits end, beware. Oh, omnious. This made a shiver run down my spine, and luckily I have not let my biscuits end, or may have died in real life. Also absolutely love this monkey called Ferenc. He's a master and loves fences, and also builds them. Cool, not frog. Cool monkey. But there's gotta be a frog now. Crazy Frog Soccer. Not really a port from a real game, but I think with this I may have found the worst football game ever created. This also has nothing to do with the Crazy Frog except for the loading screen. So I'm pretty sure they just took an already existing football manager game and just changed the name and put an extremely lame Crazy Frog screen on top of it. Look at the controls. Up is the 8, down is the 2, all makes sense, but select fire? This is a football game, you don't shoot people. I mean, actually if you hit someone hard enough with a football, you can kinda kill them, I guess. There's not even any Crazy Frog music. For some reason I thought there's a Crazy Frog version of It's Coming Home, the famous English football song, even though it will never come home for them. But I tried searching for it, and apparently there's no version of it. And I was so sure that it exists. Maybe I dreamed about it once and thought it's real. A bit disappointing. Even worse, there's no sound at all. No music, no sounds, nothing. Also, the game doesn't really work, even though it kinda does. You can change the aggression of your team, substitute formation, and telling them to play short or long passes, all that stuff. And that's basically all. Your players only move when they're close to the ball, and your keeper moves not at all. So every shot hits the goalie, but sometimes it just goes through and counts, and sometimes it just doesn't. There's not even a half time. It's just 90 minutes without the side switching. How lazy can you make a football game? Pretty sure it also simulates the World Cup of 2006, since I picked Germany, and the first two enemies were Costa Rica and Poland. So in conclusion, they probably reskin an existing football manager with the lowest amount of effort to quickly sell lots of this during the World Cup, because the Crazy Frog was huge, unlike his stick and mine. Dead Rising. I'm gonna have to say it, this version is better than the Wii port of Dead Rising. Maybe. It may look ugly, but something about the phone version was just fun for the short amount I played it. You walk around the mall, pick up weapon orbs where you never truly know what it's gonna be till you talk to the orb, take pictures with your cam, which sadly doesn't get you scores, and kill tons of zombies and get XP for it. It was just kind of fun, especially when running around with a chainsaw. Crazy Taxi looks impressive and also plays impressively well, even if it may not look like it. This is probably the best game I've played, and it's just kinda as addicting as the original game. Almost. It just lacks the speed. You don't really feel like you're going off the rails and vroom vroom all over the place. So instead of Crazy Taxi, it could be called Modest Taxi. It just really makes me want to have a new Crazy Taxi. Maybe one day. But I guess nowadays you would have to call it Crazy Uber. Wink wink. Get it? Sorry. Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball. Here's a warning, you are not ready for this game's amazing soundtrack, so please prepare yourself for the next 5 seconds. Yeah, that plays throughout the whole game. Sometimes it just randomly stops though, till it decides to play again. But look at the game itself, it's pretty cute, isn't it? I like the sprites and the little animations, and well, that's all the good things I can say. They didn't even bother to make the bottom half of the sand look more sandy, it just turns to one single color. Reminds me of when I try to draw hair highlights, but it looks like poop, so I keep the hair a single color instead, and every time I look at it, I get reminded how much I suck at drawing. Luckily, it's not my job, so I am allowed to suck at it, unlike this net, which doesn't do its job at all, because it's pretty much non-existent. There's only hitbox in the middle of it, nowhere else. Despite the ball clearly hitting the net, it just goes right through. Even if you shoot the ball under the net, it counts as a point for you, or the enemy. And another warning, I will show you the amazing winning melody, so prepare your ears or quickly mute the video for the next 10 seconds. Damn, no, that was truly enjoyable. Two bad melodies just playing on top of each other. Yeah, Mom, I think I can't hear anything anymore, hello? Doom, or well, Doom RPG. How do you port a fast-paced classic shooter onto a mobile phone where the controls are a bit subpar for it? Exactly, you turn it into a dungeon crawler RPG. And to be fair, it's decently decent. For people who don't know how dungeon crawlers work, you basically press forward or backwards or whatever, and you go forward or back a tile, while the world around you does the same, or at least objects that are supposed to walk. Like this doggy only does something when I do something first. He will only start to move when I do an action like walking or shooting. In a way, it kinda gives you this illusion of playing it like a normal Doom, just slower, and not having to aim really, and having to put out lots of fires. It's also just as brutal as you would expect. Look at this dog just getting splattered across the screen. Jesus, I wonder how that would look like on an actual mobile phone screen, on those tiny ones. Probably just like a wet mess, like when you eat pasta only with ketchup. And trust me, it's not that bad if you're too lazy to cook up a real sauce. Better than using mayo at least. I hope no Italian person is watching this. Minecraft, yippee! And yep, I think I just downloaded the virus. Resident Evil Afterlife. I hope you paid attention in school, because which famous author wrote the following words? Whether to open a sound is no. Was it Shakespeare? Was it Mozart? Plato? Nietzsche? It surely was Shakespeare, right? No, it was the person responsible for translating Resident Evil Afterlife into English, at least half of it, because some of it is in broken English, while some parts just haven't been even tried to be translated and are still just in Chinese. For some reason the game's resolution also looks perfectly normal till you open a bar menu or a dialog box. Also, I just couldn't open a door to leave, which is a bit sad because I do like the look of the game, so I wanted to play it. But now that I couldn't go through the door, the only thing I got out of it was the funny opening message. Crash to insanity. Look at how happy Crash looks like despite someone telling him he shall be destroyed. I love Crash positivity. The game looks kinda impressive. Sadly, it has no real music. Guess all the budget went to the graphics, if it even had a budget. Plays just like a real Crash game and doesn't even control that badly, but the tutorial level just does not stop giving you advice like do not fall into the pits. And every time it happens, it just makes you stop dead in your tracks and destroys the whole flow. Every time you feel like you're finally allowed to play the game, it just stops you again, and it's just annoying. But it won't be a problem in the later stages, right? Well, I got no idea since the game didn't really allow me to play more. It just got stuck on the screen and that was it. Also, every time you pick up an apple, this sound plays and it could become a new American torture method. Forget about waterboarding. What about making someone listen to this for hours? I could not take it for too long. I would probably, spill the beans. Bad Manga Girls Sex Trip to Ibiza. It's basically meet and fuck, but for your phone, just like in the good old days. Stolen anime art, horrible dialogue, and you having to pick the right answers to get into the pants of the girls, if they're even wearing any pants. I played the college one more, but I can't show that one since the girl at the start immediately shows you her nipples, so... I'm not quite sure why I even put this one into the video. Gotta stretch those extra seconds out, just like when you have your first time, which I can't even relate to since I haven't even done that. But I'm sure everyone else who played these kind of games back in the day is a total womanizer nowadays. Or even married with their perfect partner and kids. They deserve it. Overall, there were a few games that were worse than expected and a few that were better than expected. Back in the day, some of these would have been pretty impressive like Crazy Taxi, but nowadays none of these games are truly worth it anymore. There's also just so many. I downloaded a whole archive of over 5,000 old Java mobile games, and that archive didn't even have all of them. So if anyone wants to make themselves suffer, you can go ahead and download it too, and have the most fun you will ever have in your life playing these games. Or just open the Play Store on your smartphone and start downloading the worst rated games on the Play Store. It's probably gonna be the same result in the end. Maybe one day I will dive deeper into the worst mobile games ever created, but I think I need a break from truly horrible games. For a day or two. Actually, I love bad games. Bad games are better than good games, don't even question it. So with these wise words, have yourself a good one and enjoy the rest of your day. Also have a good night if it's sleepy time. Sweet dreams. But before falling asleep, you can also like the video or even subscribe for extra good sleep. I guarantee you, you will have the most beautiful dreams ever after that. Or maybe you will get nightmares.